It's okay if you don't take up the full 3 minutes.
What if I go 20 seconds over the full 3 minutes?
I love these mind games of you convincing Usama that you've over-prepped when I don't think that's the case. I will say that Usama, he doesn't show his cards, but I'm sure this man has spent the last 3 hours prepping.
I really have not, and I'm learning that a lot of people were doing things like that in the last hour. So maybe I spent the last 5 minutes, but I just saw Becca have a little fucking composition notebook that she pulled out with notes in it, and I don't have that.
It doesn't have notes in it.
So I don't trust anybody on this call, and this is all bullshit. Good luck.
All right. Hello, I'm Waleed Shahid.
And I'm Amir Hassan.
And you're listening to Block Party, a show about progressive legislators taking over the Democratic Party from the inside and the movements upending the party establishment from the outside.
Friends, we are in our subscribe and like and rate era, so please make sure to rate and subscribe to Block Party wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we're putting out Block Docs left and right and center and everywhere, which you can find on our Justice Democrats YouTube page. And today we're taking you back to the good days, or maybe terrible days, depending on, your life. We're bringing back AP Government, AP US History, APUSH. Welcome to the debate team. Justice Democrats. Justice Democrats debate team. We have quite the party in our virtual recording studio today. It's a party. Hey! We'll introduce everyone in a minute. And I'm really excited to bring our little mini segment, Debate Me Bro, which was really honestly just meant to have Waleed emote.
Wow.
But quickly became a fan favorite, I guess. So we thought we'd do a whole episode on it. Yeah. Are you excited? Waleed, I can see Waleed is really excited. He's ready.
I'm hyped. The thing I love about this episode the most is that I have to suffer, but everybody's suffering with me, and that is fun for me. This is going to be one of my questions: is who actually likes debating?
This is hilarious because in a meeting last week, Waleed said, "I hate debating. I'm not good at it. I don't like debating." You might have met Waleed via his Twitter discourse, and that gives you a different picture than what he says.
I play a character on the internet, but on the podcast, I'm just me. It's my safe space.
Anyways.
Sorry, it got too real. Today, you're going to hear 3 debates, 3 topics that we've pitted 2 JD staffers against each other on. These 3 topics are things we generally hear in Twitter fodder, blue sky fodder. I don't know Twitter anymore.
Blue sky. Ooh. Okay, some of us didn't get access codes.
You gotta
know people.
You gotta pay for them. But yeah, let's quickly have our cast here introduce themselves before we give you all the rules. So tell us who you are, your role at JD, and Amira, do you want to introduce this last part?
Oh yeah, and we're to get everybody in the fighting spirit, we're gonna ask you some controversial pick your fighter question, okay? And this one has really popped off before in previous staff icebreakers, so I had thought we should bring it back. Do you eat rice with a fork or spoon? And yes, I know people can eat with their hands and chopsticks and blah blah blah, but that's not what I asked. So pick one of the 2. Go.
My name's Elena DeVerge. I'm the director of Movement School, and I gotta say, probably I would go with the fork.
Correct choice. She set the bar, everybody.
There are eye rolls happening already. I won't say who.
Osama, go ahead. Your face is so expressive.
I've had this conversation 5 billion fucking times, and it's crazy how many people are dumb. But my position is spoon, obviously. Because it just makes sense. It's a mini fucking bowl. It's a mini fucking plate that you're using from your plate. There's holes in a fork, holes big enough for rice to fall through. And I don't understand the utilization of forks in a lot of things, honestly. I'm pretty anti-fork for a lot of things. So Fight me, disagree with me.
All right, cut his mic. Becca.
Hello, my name is Becca Rose. I'm the senior strategist.
Wait, Osama, did you introduce yourself?
Usama's entire identity, we should just keep going, is just the spoon guy.
Anonymous.
Just keep going.
It's just Usama Spoon. That's all you need to know.
Spoon.
Wonderful.
My name is Becca Rose. I'm the senior strategist with policy research in the political department, and I eat rice with a fork because I'm an adult.
That's right.
And if you are an adult, you can eat things like rice with a fork despite the small slats in it. It'll be okay. The other things on your plate and in your bowl also probably require a fork. So I'm just gonna.
Osama just eating that white rice plain.
I won't even touch it.
Correct answers.
Naftali.
Naftali, I think it's you.
Hey, Naftali. I'm JD's digital communications associate, and I'm going to take the centrist approach here and say that it really depends. Fork.
No.
That's not how the podcast works, Naftali.
No cop-outs.
We got to compromise.
No,
we got to
Naftali.
compromise.
Let him finish.
No.
Let him cook.
No.
Let him
In
cook.
today's environment, we're too divisive, and I think it's time we really unite the people. And
This is how you want to make your debut.
I'm going in. I'm going in with a compromise approach, which is if there's sauce in the mix, you got to go with a spoon. But if it's a dry plate, I'm all fork.
No labels.
I made everyone unhappy.
Look at you. You've just proven that triangulating just makes everyone unhappy. You could have been on the winning team now. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we all hated Usama until you started speaking.
Wow, Osama, the lone island here with the spoon. You can always tweet your support for him. Let us know.
Wait, you guys have to answer. We have to know from our hosts.
I mean, I feel like I was pretty open with where I'm.
Well, let's get it on the record. I'm not letting anyone slide here.
Fork.
Okay.
A fork. Spoons are for soup, for ice cream, desserts, and like yogurts. It's not for your real meal.
I am never eating rice plain, so there's usually something I have to kind of be chopping or cutting at, and a spoon is not useful for that. And so I don't know why Osama's just eating plain white rice or fried rice, but you got to be having other. Rice is not the main dish, you know?
Waleed and I are obviously eating similar foods with our rice,
There's no rebuttal, Osama. There's no rebuttal.
and I use a spoon.
Moved on.
All right? Erasure.
Erasure.
All right. Osama, we're all happy for you. We celebrate difference at Justice Democrats. So let's get into how this is going to work. We have 3 debate topics today. Each topic's debaters will have 3 minutes each for their initial arguments. Then we'll have 1 round of rebuttals, and each person will have a minute and a half to rebut. After that, our little peanut gallery here can chime in to debate who our winner is. And then, by democratic decision-making, I will decide who the winner is. Sound good? Any disclaimers?
Wait.
We got to talk about that last bit.
I'm like, please.
Hashtag resist. Let's dive in. Up first, we have Amira and Naftali.
Let's go.
Here is your topic. Are progressives too online? Amira, you are arguing yes.
Yes, the revolution will be tweeted.
Naftali, you are arguing no. Amira, your 3 minutes begin now.
All right. Obviously, listen, nobody can deny the power of social media as an organizing tool for movements across the globe. Yes, you can bring up the Arab Spring, you can bring up Black Lives Matter. You can bring up the fact that, yes, without social media, so many stories that traditionally will not be covered by the media have been able to be uplifted and get covered eventually. Sure, great. Now that we have gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the reality of things. It is a tool, and progressives have mistaken the tool for the end goal, okay? Getting clicks and likes and views is great, and you know what? Wonderful. But if you do politics and are trying to enact change, and you think that the outcome of clicks and likes and views translates into political power, you need to go touch grass. That is not
Did
doing
Amira
anything.
become on the editorial board of the Times? Sorry, go ahead.
Boom. It's not. It's let's be real. And it also incentivizes you to lose the thread of reality a little bit, because what the algorithm rewards is not the same thing. There are diverging points at which point that the clicks and views and likes and retweets stop actually helping your cause. because the algorithm is going to push outrageous things. So to keep getting those clicks and views and likes, you got to stay being outrageous, which at some point will lead you to do something that is outside of actually helping whatever you say you want to push for, right? We all know that that's the game. And the reality is there's a difference between doing politics and doing political entertainment.
Wow.
And unfortunately, a lot of progressives have lost the threat. And when I say progressives, I am talking about people who engage in politics for a profession or advocacy as something full time. And I'm not talking about people who have other jobs and who are shitposting. Like, shitpost to your heart's content. You know, you're part of the ecosystem, but you are not the people I'm speaking to or about. And, you know, like, let's be real. We have had a lot of energy go into things that we could have avoided if we had discernment as to what is entertainment and what is political strategy, what is actually pushing the needle forward in our goals, and what is somebody's podcast that they're making a ton of money off at Patreon, right? We just had this wonderful block doc about corporate media and profits. And honestly, a lot of the same thing happens in the progressive media
5 seconds.
universe as well. So let's all be real about what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're doing it, and touch grass.
All right.
Yeah.
Everyone give Amir a round of applause for going first.
Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
K-Hive, stand up. Your 3 minutes begin now.
I want you all to close your eyes,
Oh.
listeners included, and imagine, if you will, if Lenin had a Twitter account, if Fidel Castro had a TikTok, if Malcolm X went on Instagram Live. These iconic leaders would have reached so many more people through these platforms, and I believe that the left can do the same today. I do agree that that the internet has become a bit harmful, but it is something that is part of our everyday lives. If you're on the train, if you're in the middle of an awkward conversation, you turn to your phone. You look at what's online. You think about posting. That's just how it is. And for billions and billions of people, that's a great way to reach them. That's why I've actually designed this scientific diagram about why the left should be more online.
Audio media.
Yeah, well, I'll describe it to our audience, so those who can't see it. Okay. The y-axis is the amount of influence that one has, and the x-axis is the amount of time one spends online. And as you can see from, I'm holding this upside down. Give me a second. That's what's happening. I've been holding it upside down this whole time. So as you can tell, we start off with people who don't post that often. They're in the plateau of touching grass. These are people who have a healthy relationship with the internet and also have like a moderate amount of influence on those around them. But the more time you spend online, you eventually hit the slippery slope of doom scrolling, where you see article upon article of how the world is ending and that there's nothing you can do about it, which eventually puts you into the valley of infighting and irony poisoning. This is where a lot of the left find themselves these days. These are people who will detach themselves from their situation with irony, or decide to go all in and fight people on little minutia that no one actually cares about. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of the left is. But the solution here, as you can see, is you need to post through it. And if you post through it, you'll go more and more viral and have a wider and wider reach with an audience who eventually will take you to the peak of influence, where you can have a zealous following of people who will be willing to do any of your demands, who you can politically radicalize, and therefore unite all the posters of the world towards political revolution. I cede the rest of my time.
Wow.
Wow. He ceded the rest of his time.
Wow. I don't know if I even have. I mean,
This
listen.
man, Naftali somehow made shit posting about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. So kudos to you.
All I can think about is Fidel Castro doing the renegade.
Are you starting a rebuttal? Are you starting your rebuttal?
Sure.
All right. Let's do. Your timer has started.
All I keep thinking about, renegade, do the TikTok dances. Can you imagine? Fidel Castro would get it. He would get it. So I could see that building a following, a political influencer, could sell some great merch, wonderful merch. You can make good money going down this route. Can you actually enact change? No. Can you make a bag? Absolutely. So I think that this is a great pathway for the grifters and the commentators, but not those who are actually trying to do things differently. So, I think it was a wonderful diagram and it can make somebody rich. It will not get us Medicare for all, though. The end.
And she ceded the rest of her time. All right, Naftali, your rebuttal to the rebuttal.
I'm back in. I do agree that the internet has become a toxic place in which many opportunists use going viral to make a lot of money for themselves and for brand placements. They're getting that back. But the thing is, all those people, or the vast majority of those people, are centrist to right wing. And that once we get leftists who are truly principled, they can use that towards the good of the movement. And even if they are using it towards money and towards making as much cash as possible, guess what? They can donate it to good causes. They can raise it for all those good causes. They can donate it to justicedemocrats.com if they choose to do
that's
so.
That's right. Plug.
And I think that I dare to imagine a world where leftist influencers can make a real difference. And I challenge you to do the same.
We're all looking for the grifter with the heart of gold.
Everyone, let's clap for our first debaters. All right, we're going to do quick responses. Who do you think won?
Peanut Gallery. Yes. You got to introduce the Peanut Gallery.
Peanut Gallery for this is Alona, Becca, Usama, and me.
What was your position? Where did you think you were going to land? And did somebody sway you?
So I am on Naftali's side. I think that we can be using it more effectively. And so maybe if we're more disciplined about it, like Naftali says, maybe influencers could actually have work that backs up what they're showing on social media.
So your vote is for?
Naftali.
We got one for Naftali.
Love you, Mira.
Amira looks enthused. Okay, Usama. Where were you at the beginning of this debate, and were you convinced in one way or the other?
I think I'm like a poisoned person who's online too much.
That's right.
Me, who's been on Twitter since April of 2009. I don't have a brain, actually, and I don't know where I was at. Like I'm clearly broken brained, and also think that we're all online too much. And I would have loved if Twitter fell apart and got demolished. So maybe we should all be offline more. And I think I would prefer my job without Twitter. So I was probably on Amira's side before this. I agree with all of Amira's points.
Not before this. You said she did such a bad job. She actually made me change my mind.
I'm still trying to figure out what my position is at the end of this. I appreciate it.
It's almost like worms for brains.
I truly, I'm just I don't know if you guys know this, but I don't have thoughts. If one of you wants to tweet an opinion, I'm happy to retweet though. I appreciate Naftali's vanguard leftist party online approach. But I do think Amira is right. I will continue to stay on my beliefs because I don't really change my beliefs.
Earth sign.
Osama taking us through a journey here.
We have a tie. 1-1. Becca Rose.
Okay. I started off thinking that everyone is too online, and because I'm a fixed Earth sign, I will say everyone is still too online. I'm Team Amira. Social media is a tool. It's not the whole game. I think your brain is broken if you're listening to someone you formed a parasocial relationship with more than someone who is in your neighborhood. And we should not rely more on our little tweets than we do on our interpersonal relationships and the work that we're doing on the ground. Because at the end of the day, I can ignore your little tweets and emails and calls and whatever, but face to face, while I am thinking about how uncomfortable this is and how I would rather be scrolling Twitter, I can't ignore you because here you are, and that's way more impactful, and you can get way more shit done when you're IRL with people. You're building better relationships. I'm team. Get offline. I agree with Mira.
2-1.
Okay, can Naftali and I share what we actually believe? Because we just were assigned our positions.
Yeah. No, I think
Also, I'm just wondering, had I been holding my diagram the right side, would that have made
Maybe.
On this podcast, audio form. Okay, I guess before I chime in, let's hear Amir and Naftali's real takes on the matter. Because they
Yeah.
were assigned these positions.
Which is really funny because I think we have the opposite positions because I don't think people are too online. But I really wanted to focus on some like not as like bad faith takes about why progressives are too online because there's a lot of bad takes out there. And I think I really just wanted to drive home that it's a tool, and as long as like it stays a tool and people don't get wrapped up in the attention economy, it's still like a worthwhile tool. But
I hope that every social media site crashes and burns and that we return to just emailing each other as our main form of communication.
Let's send letters. Support the postal service. Buy stamps.
All right. I was in the Amira corner before Naftali started speaking. And when Naftali started speaking, I was like, wow, this is what Twitter felt like in 2017, what he's describing. We were ascendant.
Oh my God.
Twitter was a place where we could get our marginalized voices could get heard. There was funny jokes on there. There was a bartender who went viral on there once. Like, it was a cool time. And Naftali's like, what bartender are you talking about?
I really had to rack my mind for a second.
It's like, he was so confused. Yeah, so I reached the place where I was like, oh, it could be potentially a useful place to do politics and do work. But then I'm also like, maybe the logical conclusion of all of this was Elon Musk. And maybe this is what it was all the time. But I do want to hold an ideal that social media can be a useful tool in practice. And so my vote goes to Naftali.
he made a diagram.
What does that mean? Is it a tie? Wait, what's the total count?
We got a tie.
Oh.
It's a tie. So the real winners are the peanut gallery, folks.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much, Amir and Naftali, for going first. That was excellent debating practices. And now I'm scared for my section. All right, debate topic 2. Becca and Usama, Mr. Spoons. The topic is, should the left run for president in 2024? In the no corner, Becca Rose. In the yes corner, Usama. Becca, you begin. Your 3 minutes starts now.
I think that progressives can rightfully feel disappointed in the direction of the Biden administration, particularly recently. But a primary challenge in 2024 isn't strategic, and I think that the stakes are too high to risk disaffected Democratic voters. Bernie already said he's not running. No one in office now, and none of the top tier contenders from 2020 have any serious prospects of primarying Biden. And I think that the influence that progressives gained in the summer of 2020 and a lot of the successes we won early on in Biden's presidency are proof that there's more value in progressives using their leverage to nudge Biden to support progressive policies in his campaign and thereafter than there is to run a full primary challenge, which ultimately will be a waste of everyone's time, money, and energy. I think it's important to acknowledge the victories we did win with Biden. We've already won this shift in the Overton window. Build Back Better may not have materialized in full force, but we did set the starting point as progressives. Education debt forgiveness wouldn't have existed without progressives. The problem isn't our ability to win an exchange of ideas. The problem is structural change that we still need. The problem is Joe Manchin. The problem is the Supreme Court. And I think we need to invest energy into winning those critical infrastructure changes now so that when we do have a serious candidate who can win, we're setting them up for success. And if we start strategizing now, progressives can change the face of another Biden administration. We did a lot of strong organizing last time around on cabinet picks, and I think we can do that again, and we can do it better if we start organizing now. Overall, I just think that our energy is best spent in preparing to organize around another Biden administration. We're working with the devil we know. So, given the reality of our circumstances, because I think it's important to be rooted in reality, we know it's possible when Biden works with us. We know we can pass progressive policy, and on the flip side, we know where Biden is vulnerable to the right's influence. And so I think if we're just being for real, We don't need more debate of ideas. We need to create ripe circumstances so that when we win policy change, as we've proven we can do, that we've set the groundwork for those policies to remain intact and to create real change in people's lives. Finn.
If anyone is wondering what's happening at home, Becca Rose just ended her debate she just dabbed.
It wasn't a dab. Don't do me like that.
It was definitely a dab.
I don't think I need to actually put a counter argument. I think the dab is good enough.
Okay, thank you, Becca. Everyone give a round of applause for her dabbing skills.
No.
Usama, tell us why Biden should be primaried in 2024.
I hate it here.
I also hate it here, and for that reason, Justice Democrats is formally announcing their endorsement. No. We'll talk about Kennedy's on a different day. I completely agree that we are strongest when progressives push Biden to the left. We do know the devil we know, and for that reason, I think a progressive primary to President Biden would actually be the strongest thing for Biden to win the presidency in 2024 for a few different reasons. One, to set the stage of where we're at right now. Biden is very unpopular, more unpopular than when Trump was at this same time. He has like a 55% disapproval rating. Any head-to-head polls showing him against DeSantis or Trump, which are the main people we're going to go against, are either losing, tied, or maybe slightly better. And so if we want to continue to feel like ride the status quo into a Republican presidency, we can. Also riding the back of Biden adding work requirements to food stamps, putting in restrictive asylum policies, making a debt ceiling deal with Republicans, greenlighting oil and gas pipelines, the largest Pentagon budget we've ever had, and maybe doing absolutely nothing for trans kids or Palestinian people or anyone else who people will care about. Sure, these are all reasons to maybe not primary Biden, according to Becca Rose. For me, I believe that actually the only time we've ever seen Biden do anything useful is from fear of a progressive challenge, similar to the entire ethos and structure behind this organization, Justice Democrats. We should be primarying him from the left because, one, I think, frankly, the only reason Martin was palpable to some people was because Malcolm was far scarier. And so I think we are a leftist candidate, put forward someone who has all the policies we want. It, one, pushes Biden to the left and also lets him say, look at these extreme radicals who are trying to take this away, and brings all the people we're scared about moving to the Republican Party to our side by having rational Joseph Robinette Biden be the candidate against a crazy Ron DeSantis or indicted Donald Trump. So yeah, generally just feel like if we actually want President Biden to have a second term, we need to challenge him from the left to help him shore up his credentials, make him a better candidate for us also, and help him beat people like DeSantis and Trump. Fiend.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Usama. Usama did not dab.
Let the record show.
This is deep bias. Okay.
Becca, it's time for your rebuttal. Your 1 minute and 30 seconds starts now.
Okay, listen, I agree that progressive policies will help Biden win a general election because they're popular and they're good for people. However, knowing the left that we know, no shade, I don't think you can run a real strong primary that would actually threaten enough support for Biden without ending up with more disaffected Democratic voters, which I don't think is a melodramatic thing to say because we know it already happened. I'm not unsympathetic entirely to those people, but I just think, when you're fighting for like basic fundamental rights, such as the right to exist, you just can't take that chance. And I think there are other more strategic ways that you could work with Biden to adopt more progressive policies. Even if you win a primary and a general, you still have spent all of your time putting up a primary challenger and you haven't addressed any of the other structural problems that Joseph Robinette Biden, has run into thus far in his administration, and all of those problems will still exist, and you will not have done anything to resolve them because you spent all your time and energy putting up a primary challenger and hoping for the best. I think I'm done here.
Thank you, Becca.
Usama dabs.
Your rebuttal.
I just felt,
Usama's just doing the Macarena now? I'm very strange. Usama, your rebuttal.
my rebuttal, yeah, I agree. It would be really cool if we could put all of our effort into making President Biden the most progressive president in history. And I think progressives did a good job of trying to do that for 2 years. And then I think a lot of things happened. I think Ron Klain left the White House. Jeff Zients is the chief of staff now. I think President Biden has gone backwards on a lot of issues since that time. And I think he's iced out progressives. Didn't listen to anything we did in the debt ceiling limit. It doesn't seem like progressives are getting a call back from the White House. And so I do feel like we've expired all of our legislative resources when it comes to pressuring Joe Biden. We no longer have a majority. There's nothing he can do. He's more willing to listen to Kevin McCarthy than Pramila Jayapal. So what are we to do in this situation but put him onto the national stage and say, look, this disaffected Dem voters peeling off enough, there's a very high likelihood that we don't have enough people in another candidate. But frankly, the current fear is that there's a lot of people who we don't even want, who we don't even agree with all their policies, who are still going to peel off Democratic primary voters, be it for some third party that may or may not exist as a grift, or some other people who are just anti-vaxxers or, gemstone hawks.
10
And
seconds, Mr. Spoon.
at the end of the day, President Biden's not going to do shit for us unless we challenge him publicly.
That's what happens at the end of the day, folks. Okay. Thank you, Becca and Usama, for debating the hard issues of our time. Peanut Gallery is Amira, Naftali, Alona, me. Your reactions to this fierce fight.
Wow, that got personal. Wow, Naftali and I kept it civil. There were dabs, there was the Macarena. Horrendous things are happening left, right, and center. I mean, I just, this is very, I love you, but you're not serious people. So for me, I think Becca's argument resonated because of the fact that there are just no serious contenders in sight and because of the structural issues. And yes, I feel like this whole shifting the Overton window can only really happen if you have good messengers who are legitimate. And that's not addressing any of the structural things. So I'm gonna have to give it to Becca, but I did enjoy Osama's personal attacks. A+. I love people who go low. So on that alone, I really wanted to give it to you,
On the tactics.
Yeah, love those.
I appreciate
Usama won on the tactics. Becca may have won on the strategy.
When they go high, we go low.
That's right. That's my ethos.
Yeah, that felt like a game of ping pong because Becca went and I was like, oof, good points. And then Usama went, I was like, oof, I got a point. And then Becca, you did your rebuttal and then you got me back on your team. But then Usama, then you came through with that low cut, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'm going over here. And to be honest, y'all, now I just really don't know what we should do about this issue. Y'all did an amazing job at arguing both sides. I really don't fucking know. It's all a mess. We'll see what happens.
The part that really got to me, I was with Becca, and then Usama said, Martin was successful because, and I was like, Martin O'Malley? We're going back to Martin O'Malley.
Martin O'Malley.
I want to hear how Martin O'Malley was successful. I was really, my ears were all. And then you were like, oh, it's about Martin and Malcolm, which I thought was a compelling point. We have to make Biden look more moderate. So let's run someone against him who is not. But I don't know. My heart was with Usama. My brain was with Becca. I'm also conflicted.
I just want to say I learned a lot from your debate, including Biden's middle name. I never thought what the R stood for.
I did.
So I'm just happy to sit here and be educated. And I think initially I was kind of against running a candidate, a progressive, against Biden because there weren't any real challengers in the mix at the moment. But when Usama was talking, I realized that it doesn't matter. I'm just going to be so bored up until the general election if we don't primary. I need more entertainment in my life. So
true.
You know what? Might as well just get into it and see what we could win there.
And in the end, it's the friends who we made along the way that really matters in presidential elections.
Naphtali said, always think about the content first.
Okay, let's do quick votes. Amira.
This is why everyone will think the left is unserious. In conclusion.
Quick votes. Amira.
Oh, I think Becca won.
Naphtali.
Usama.
Ilona.
Becca.
I also picked Becca. Sorry, Usama. You sacrificed yourself at this stage, and you've disqualified yourself from running in a Democratic primary because all of the words you've said will be used against you.
Finally.
Finally.
Congratulations, Becca Rose, being the first winner of the debate pod.
That was emotionally turbulent. I'm not going to lie.
Super sorry for any personal attacks. Anyone suffered?
Okay, but what do you... Okay, I know it's not called a dab, but what do you call this move? This is
Not a dab.
I know, but what is the move?
It's like a little,
I don't know what the word is for
like,
that.
It's almost like a
Just
Vogue.
like framing your face, but
It's
it's
like a
not. It's
pirouette.
not like a full, but it's kind of a half Vogue.
Okay, but there isn't a word for it. Wait, I just want to acknowledge.
No.
Yeah, okay,
It's
cool.
that. Wait, were
Maybe
you?
we should
I thought
make
you were
one.
just literally making fun of Becca.
I was.
Were you actually thinking that was a dab?
Oh wow, misinformation.
I was trying to think of the word. I was trying to think of the word of what this was, and I was like, I can't. I don't know what the word is. But yeah, that was a bit that went on too long, maybe. On my end. On my end. Okay.
I also just want to make it clear, I do not actually support a progressive primary challenge to Joseph Robinette Biden, our president.
Look at him trying to save his political career.
All right, at least give me an admin job, you know?
It's Tang.
Usama's currently saluting to a portrait of Joe Biden at this moment, if you can't see it.
Senate portrait.
Millions of people are surrounding Usama's apartment, chanting Joe Biden's name.
I wish.
Okay. Last but never least, we have the debate we've all been waiting for. The sister signs, the Aquarius versus the Leo.
Fuck.
Waleed Shahid versus Alona DeVerge.
I forgot she's a Leo.
Are you more scared now?
Definitely.
I'm dead. Okay. So, your guys' topic. Is it more impactful to organize around local or federal politics? Waleed, starting with arguing for federal politics. Go.
I love the United States government. I'm an expert in the United States government, and it's clear that all politics is national. And that's because the news coverage, whether it's on TikTok or television or Twitter, is mostly all about national politics. And so that's how people understand politics, according to sources that I know. And I found this study that says only 1% of local news is about state house news, meaning like in New York City, only 1% of news in New York City is about Albany. That's just an example. And the vast majority of local news coverage, more than 60%, is about presidential. This is a study from 2016. It was about presidential politics. And so the study basically proved that people vote for their local and state legislators based on how they feel about the president, which makes no sense unless you accept the fact that all politics is not local, but national. I've also learned the hard way that when one of our candidates is endorsed by a local or state official and we do polling on that local or state official, over half the Democratic primary voters often don't know who local and state officials are. But even in a city like New York, people do know who Elizabeth Warren is, even though she's a senator not from New York. And so that is another clear example to me about how national politics matters more. I also think that this like phrase that we use, all politics is local, is like kind of a Republican conservative Trojan horse because it makes people believe that the national government can't accomplish big things. And so if we don't pay attention to national politics, all we can do is like work within the small budgets of municipalities and states, which are much, 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 much smaller than the federal budget of the United States government, which is the only vehicle that can be used to address things like climate change, the racial wealth gap, and so many more things that require big change. I think what we're also witnessing is because so much of our politics is small dollar donor focused now, those donors, like if a candidate is out here running for city council only on fixing roads and like picking up the trash, they're not going to get small dollar donations because small dollar donors are paying attention to national politics. So they want to see candidates support Medicare for all or a Green New Deal, or on the flip side of that, banning immigrants and banning abortions. Those things fuel fundraising. And so I have just provided a heavily sourced, academic, peer-reviewed argument for why national politics is more important than local politics, and I will cede my time.
That was so substantive. No dab, though.
There was no time to seed. Only correction, fact check. I will fact check. There was no time to seed. Alona,
Hey,
please
Macarena.
tell us why local government is more important.
The Voting Rights Act, the Equality Act, the Fair Labor Standards Act, the list goes on. And what do all these historic victories have in common, right? Well, they were all brought to us by the relentless organizing of the grassroots. The truth is that change rarely begins at the top, and it starts from the ground up, and local organizing serves as an incubator for these amazing ideas, the forge where movements are born, you might say, where local victories of people like Marsha P. Johnson, Ella Baker, Cesar Chavez, and many more can create momentum, shift public opinion, and compel federal lawmakers to actually make change. From how many books are in your classrooms, to how many potholes you hit on your way to work, to how many times your landlord is going to paint over your outlets. Local politics shapes essential aspects of your life daily. For instance, it was the bravery of workers rising up during the Industrial Revolution and recognizing the power of collective action that brought us the 40-hour work week and weekends. They organized strikes and protests, demanded higher wages, and that ultimately led to the passage of the Fair Labor Standards Act. It was the community leaders, the student groups like the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee that organized protests, sit-ins, voter registration drives at the local level, bringing attention to racial injustices and actually demanding that legislative change that helped lead to historic pieces of legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It was trans women of color and members of the LGBTQ community that organized Stonewall riots in 1969, marking a turning point for the fight for equality, and their efforts were the catalyst for advocacy work that led to the Supreme Court's historic ruling of Obergefell versus Hodges, which legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. And it's the leaders that have declared their cities and states into sanctuaries, providing safe spaces for undocumented immigrants and refusing to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. And of course, cannot forget impact of local organizing in the realm of women's reproductive rights. While Roe v. Wade, the recent overturn, mobilized thousands of grassroots organizers and clinics and organizations to provide access to reproductive health care at the community level. So as we saw from the civil rights movement to LGBTQ rights to labor unions to sanctuary cities to reproductive rights and everything in between, local leaders and grassroots have been the driving force behind progress in this country. And it is through their dedication, resilience, and unwavering commitment to justice that we've seen the most significant and lasting transformations in our country, point blank, period. So real change happens at the local level, and it happens with people like you and me.
She said, period. And she told us about the landlord special. Okay, Mr. Waleed Shahid, what is your rebuttal?
You know, Alona brought in Cesar Chavez and Marsha P. Johnson and the civil rights movement into this, which I was trying to avoid the topic. But now that she's brought it up, I must address that these were local leaders who, while they were leading local campaigns, they effectively nationalized their campaigns by bringing national press scrutiny to their local issues. And so like things like Selma and like the Great Boycott in Birmingham, the reason they were successful is because there was something that Congress could do about it, and they were bringing the local issue to the national stage. I also think all the stuff about the stuff you're saying about sanctuary cities and abortion providers as ways to resist Republican policies, like, goes in my favor and not yours, because it shows that politics is national, that they're responding, like everyone is paying attention to politics on a national level, and maybe they're addressing it at the local level, but the thing that's dominating and setting the agenda is all national.
Touché.
Lastly, I'll just say you cited Cesar Chavez. The reason I didn't want to talk about it, Cesar Chavez is a really problematic example to bring up because he did not support undocumented labor, and Alona, you should know better.
Okay. Waleed is out here firing shots.
Peanut Gallery, we'll get to you guys. Hold your fire.
I'm
Hold your
sorry.
fire, Peanut Gallery. Alona, your rebuttal?
So remember when Beyonce said,
I don't
Oh, shit.
remember.
ran by the men, but the women keep the tempo? Well, this country is ran by the federal government, but the people keep the tempo. That's it.
Wow. She did that.
There has never been one instance in our history where at the national level, they have had such a bright idea. It has always come from the grassroots and then helped nationalize. And that's not their problem. That's just the problem because we have a shitty system. And so that's all I'm going to say with that. That's my rebuttal. The federal government runs this country, but the people keep the tempo forever and always.
Okay, thank you all so much. Everybody, a round of applause. Thank you. Yeah, I see our peanut gallery is quite animated. So, I don't want to delay any further. I want to get to y'all. Please let us know, where did you start before you heard these amazing arguments? Where are you now? And do you have your 2 cents you want to add to it before you tell us who you think won?
Before can we clarify what the actual question was at the top of this? Because I just want to know, because I believe
we're going off vibes, but I will give it to you. Is it more impactful to organize around local or federal power?
Organize.
Yes,
Okay.
organize.
I want to know what the verb was.
Organize.
Is
yes.
it more impactful?
Look at these Virgos. Look at them getting real specific. They're in the details, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, Peanut Gallery. Osama, kick us off. Head Virgo in this little universe.
I will not claim head Virgo as a classic believer in big government at all forms. I'm very pro big government. I asked for this clarifying question because, in my opinion prior to this is we need local organizing and federal solutions, and that is my bit. And I wanted to understand if we were talking about solutions or organizing, and so I do think local organizing is what I supported prior to this over federal organizing, I guess. I don't really know. But I love big government forever. And I don't know. Am I supposed to say everything or let other people talk now?
We can circle back to you. Yeah. Rules are important to Osama.
As a Virgo moon, I would like to concur and say that I also am a local organizing national action stan. I did take notes, so something I noticed about these arguments is that Waleed's national lens is focused more on media and national narrative, which I think is true. However, the question was about organizing. And so I would say you need local organizing because nothing happens at a federal level without local organizing first. If someone can find me an example to prove that wrong, I'm open. However, that is my take. And so I am Team Alona.
All right.
Yes, Waleed.
Okay. All right, Naftali.
Yeah, I came into this with kind of the belief that a lot of local organizing, a lot of the issues that local organizing tackles are just due to gaps in our federal legislation, from like renters' rights to trans rights to just like fighting for things that should already be available to us from the federal government, and felt that maybe this was just due to a larger gap in federal organizing that we haven't fully addressed. But after Alona's speech, I think I'm going to vote for you, Alona. That was like a good stump speech. I was inspired.
She said Beyonce, and I was like,
yeah,
oh,
but I just want to say, yeah, I think after this, I'm like, yeah, really, it does come from the grassroots, pro-local organizing. I'm sorry to side against my boss. But I am on Team Alona.
Naf is fired tomorrow.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Well, as a part of the Peanut Gallery, I will say that Alona's speech, definitely very rousing. You gave us the villain. I mean, who doesn't hate landlords? Listen, whew, what a great line. And then Beyonce, which is also amazing. But I will say Waleed did get me because he did definitely, if we got it right on the federal level, then we would have to do less organizing against really terrible things on the state. It's only because of the right-wing pull to decentralized federal power that we are in the mess that we are often. So my head is with Waleed, definitely. So I will, Team Waleed on this one. But Alona, you killed that girl. You did. I was like, oh, yes, local organizing. But I'm a federal girly, you know?
Same.
But also, can you actually start organizing at a federal level? Because, like, in theory, everyone experiences these things locally in a kind of unique way, right? And so you need local organizers to say, hey, this is my experience in New Mexico, but this is my experience in Pennsylvania, to craft
yes and
better.
no, but the landlords are all the same, and I feel like housing issues are all terrible. People can't afford their housing, so to me, it will always come down to federal action.
I appreciate that the Peanut Gallery is advocating for states' rights alona over here.
Whoa!
And I just want that noted. But
No, dude, your Trojan horse comment, I was like, I'm going to have to unpack that a little bit.
hey,
Yeah, do you guys have your thoughts?
Wait, the Trojan horse analogy was actually really good, Waleed. But it made me. I wrote it down because it actually
in your
made me
4
think.
minutes of speaking, you said 3 words that were interesting.
No, but wait, hear me out.
One of which was horse.
Not true.
So the Trojan horse analogy, right? I think maybe this is like a debate for for another episode or something. But there are some things. Oh my God, this is a hot take. All right, hot take.
Hot take. We love it. Give it to us.
There are some things that Republicans get right when it comes to organizing.
Cut that clip, post it.
Stop. But wait.
Listen.
And so that Trojan horse analogy, when you actually think about it, right? Like, that's what they do. Like, that's what Republicans do when they go into local. That's why they have like communities locked down pat, and like in all different types of social circles, from like the YMCA's, from the Boys and Girls, like all that stuff. And so, is that a bad thing? I don't know. Maybe don't put that in there, guys. I'm just talking.
Oh, we will definitely keep that, and
No,
I will
think
add to
there's
it.
something, you don't overturn Roe by being bad at organizing, but I also think there's like a money component
Oh, 100%.
of that. That's like, you can be not as good at organizing and also just have a fuck ton of money and, get what you want. But
Yeah. I'm in my, like, the faith organizing that Republicans do is just
Yes.
crazy. It's crazy.
yeah,
It's
for generations. yeah.
generations.
Crazy.
Gotta watch Shiny Happy People. Becca put me onto
Oh, I
it.
need to
The
watch
Duggar
it.
families.
They're fucked
Yes.
up.
Watch it. We're being beat by a bunch of homeschooled kiddos.
Oh, you always will be.
That you should all feel bad about yourself. Thank you. Waleed, how'd you feel? What is your real position?
Oh, my real position is, I don't know, I feel like the Trump campaign proves that national politics is where things happen more than local. Like, this man didn't do any local organizing and became president because he was on television, and he like said some things that were popular with his base, like banning Muslims and building a wall, which I don't think there was like that much local organizing for. Amir, are you laughing?
Very unpopular on this podcast with
Yeah.
3 Muslims on it, but
Yeah. We only want to ban Mr. Spoons. I will say that
Selective Muslim banning.
it's means test to Muslim banning. I will say that I did feel like I was losing the argument because I resorted to attacking the speaker's credibility, and in her rebuttal, Alona did not return the favor because she knew she was winning.
I'm not gonna lie, it was working for Osama. I think you just had to put a little extra stink on it. Osama almost had me. I was like, attack her more.
I felt it too. I'm not gonna lie. I felt it, and I said, I'm not sure about these people.
Okay, you guys, before we wrap up the show, are there any last minute burning thoughts you want to put into the world?
I would just like to say where I stand real quick.
Oh, yeah, my bad, of course. Oh my God, not the Lona erasure.
Our movement school director.
It's all good. And by the way, Becca, on your point about has there ever been any example of something
love to
starting
know.
at the national? So I would love to know. So if anybody out there has an example, please let us know. But I actually did research on that because I thought Waleed was going to bring that up. And so I tried to, did my Oppo research. I couldn't find shit. Everything happens at the local level. But what I will say, as I'm an organizer, I'm on the ground, and the amount of times that I have to explain to people who their city council person is, what they do, who their state local representative is, how important they are to them is a lot. it's a constant everyday thing. I think that there's a huge disconnect with local governments and their communities. And the mainstream just listens to whatever the mainstream media pushes, which is national politics. So I think that there is some truth to that. However, again, because of the countless examples of any material win that we've ever gotten, if you literally go back, it always started at the local level, and it always started with local community organizers. Even if they didn't get the media attention, even if they didn't get the clout until years later, it started at the local level. Real change truly starts with me and you, and that's it. So that's how I feel about it. But do agree on the nationalization of stuff. And this is the last thing I'll say, I promise. But like, it's part of the reason why I always say, like, when I first created movement school and I had that realization of like, this system sucks. Changing the system requires changing the laws requires changing the people who write them. That logic to me was because systemically, even if we organize and we fight for something, at the end of the day, we still need Congress and the president to like pass it and make it happen. We depend on them, unfortunately. And so until we have a new system, Joseph Robinette Biden is our best chance.
Joey B
from Scranton, Pennsylvania, like me.
Well, Alona, you already had Naftali's vote, but I feel like you might be collecting a few more. You heard it here first, folks. Justice Democrats podcast. We're making political careers, Alona, and we're breaking them. Osama, he's donezo. Do you guys have any last burning thoughts?
I got one thought, which is
hit us.
I just want to formally recognize the glaring omission in this last argument between federal and local organizing of international organizing. And a case of American exceptionalism on the pod.
Word. Drag us.
Fucking true.
And I just also want to say for the record, international organizing best done by being extremely online.
Hey, got him.
Run it back.
Mic drop.
All right, that's the show. Listeners, if you want to pitch a debate you think our staffers should engage with, please email us at blockpartypod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear more from you there. Also, please make sure to rate and subscribe to Block Party wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're putting out the Block Docs left and right, which you can find on Justice Democrats' YouTube page.
Our mixed engineer is Rocky Russo. Our producers on this episode were Sophie Cap and
viewers like you.
Special thanks to our peanut gallery, to all of our incredible folks who joined us today. Thank you, everybody. Take a bow, or dab. We hear some people like to dab.
It wasn't a dab. Please, no.
We'll see you on the block. Hey, Millie Rock. Yeah, I know that's right. Thank you. Bye. See you on the block, everyone. Said bye.
Bye.
Bye.